thank you so much for joining us. We're going to talk about NFT adoption into the mainstream today. Have a great panel. My name is Alan Carr. I'm a game and systems designer at Dapper Labs. I helped design and develop NBA Top Shot after spending some time working on CryptoKitties as well. And we launched a fun project called Cheese Wizards that I helped design as well. But most of you probably know us from Top Shot and our recently announced NFL collaboration. We have a great panel today. I'm gonna let everyone introduce themselves. And today we're gonna be talking about the mainstream. Is it coming to NFTs? Is it already here? And how are we all preparing for the billions of people that we expect are gonna come? Josh, why don't you introduce yourself and we'll go around the room. I think. Not hearing Josh. Andrew, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Alan. So I'm the Chief Visionary Officer at xtingles, and xtingles is the world's first ASMR NFT production and marketplace company for artists and collectors.
That's awesome. And Brendan, tell us a little bit about yourself. What are you doing on this panel?
Sure, yeah. So I'm Brendan Alper. I'm the COO of Everbloom, and we're building the NFT platform for the 99%. So very appropriate for this conversation, and building on Flow, backed by Dapper.
Absolutely, that's fantastic. Josh Ong, do we have you here now?
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes.
All right.
Excellent.
Great. Yeah, so I am a comms consultant as well as NFT consultant, and go by Beijing Doe on Twitter, which some of you might have seen me there. And yeah, just really, I help brands think about how they get their message out into the world, and how they reach their customers.
Fantastic. It's great having everybody here, and thank you all for tuning in. So let's just kind of get this out of the way. Who here thinks that the mainstream has already arrived in NFTs? Anybody?
I think
doesn't look like it.
we're seeing the initial tips like going to full-on mainstream. I think Clubhouse really helped push the whole NFT wave for sure. I think before that, in December, it was pretty cold. There's nothing happening, right? And NBA Top Shot really started picking up at the beginning of this year as well. So I think the Clubhouse is probably the catalyst for sure. And ever since then, people have been talking about NFTs nonstop. But I think that we're going to see, once we see a new Twitter feature upgrade, we'll see some major mainstream action for sure.
I would say, in my definition, I'd say definitely not, just because my parents still don't know what the hell I do. So I think that's a pretty good rule of thumb. I feel like it's more where Apple was in the 90s, where like the true believers and the fanboys are buying, and there's a lot of publicity. But like, if you look back in 20 years and say, when did Apple really go mainstream? I feel like you would say it was kind of now, or in the last 5 years with the iPhone. And I feel like we're still a little ways ahead, but definitely some exciting things happening, and it's moving fast.
Josh, what would you say it would take for you to declare that NFTs are here in the mainstream?
Yeah, I think I'd say significant market penetration and market awareness. And I think we're starting to get some awareness where people are reading the stories and starting to learn about it. But in terms of overall user base, I don't think we're quite there. I agree that what Top Shot's done has been incredible, and opening up new customer bases and kind of new markets for NFTs in general. But would love to see it go from hundreds of thousands to millions. I think that to me is like one big jump that we need to make to really claim mainstream.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. I think if we can define mainstream as millions of people interacting with NFTs, I wouldn't even say necessarily understanding that they're interacting with NFTs, just using them, having that be a part of their everyday interactions online and in this both on like computers and probably on their mobile devices. I think a lot of people will have that experience that way as well. And I think that rule of thumb is, when are our parents aware of what we do and what NFTs are, and when are they, using them on a daily basis? I think that'll be a good indicator that we've probably reached that mainstream audience. So what changes do we have to make as an industry to go from where we are now to where we will be, where we would feel comfortable saying, that NFTs have fully reached the mainstream? Do we need infrastructure changes? Is it a cultural thing? Do we have to change how people view or the culture of NFTs? Is the pretty heavy focus on the financial aspect a positive or a negative there? Or is it just a matter of communication? It's just a matter of reaching out to people and talking to them and getting them to see the benefits? What do we do to get to the mainstream? Curious what Everett's thoughts are about that.
Yeah, I think one of the big obstacles we need to overcome is a UX UI one, because I think that there is a certain amount of user hostility that comes to newcomers who want to try and figure out. Let's say it's an ETH based NFT. It's like, okay, what does it mean to figure out how to buy Ethereum? How to set up a MetaMask? What is a gas war? What are these inputs? Level of education to onboard someone is significant. Now on the flow side, there's a lot that gets simplified there, and I think that's one of the reasons why flow has such a great advantage right now. But also, even we look at like regulatory issues with being able to buy certain tokens, things like that. So yeah, I think ultimately, like, it's so difficult right now for your average kind of mainstream person to onboard, that we need to improve that process in order to really ramp up.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to comment that I think that we definitely need to make these NFTs more desirable. I think TikTok is making the right moves, doing NFTs for short clips and loops. And I think mentioning on building upon the Twitter feature, so Twitter is going to be launching the PFP verification with the NFT collection. And that just shows that now people really do care whether it's a blockchain asset, not just sporting a random JPEG, right? And with that in mind, I believe that more and more people start doing that, more and more people will start to see the value of these NFTs and start, this will eventually become the new Rolex, a new car to show off. And that eventually is going to start getting the mainstream awareness that, oh, NFTs are valuable digital assets. And for some of them, if they don't own any crypto in the past, they can start seeing that this digital art is going to change the world. It's going to be a paradigm shift to the free content, the free art, the free JPEGs we see on Instagram to, oh, do you own that NFT? So I think that we're getting there. It's just like a few major players. If we have TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter activating these NFT verification, we'll see a very quick uptick.
So you see us really leaning into sort of the nascent culture in NFTs with the things like profile pictures and status symbols, collectible art as being really strong entry points into the mainstream. And it's just a matter of connecting those pieces with the communities that are already out there where the mainstream are very comfortable and kind of exposing them that way.
Yeah, I mean, if this feature becomes activated across all these big, large social networks, and then there's a bunch of cross-pollination happening, I think it's just, it's just people, it's the new way to show off. I mean, you don't need to go out your house, show off your watch, show off a car. You just need to sport a new PFP, and that's it. And people think that, oh, this dude's got money, right? And then the moment that happens, it's like, I think we're going to start poking the questions of, oh, wow, I probably don't need to go out anymore. Just live on the live inside the metaverse, and this is the new world for me now, right?
Yeah, when you think about something like showing off your car, how many people are really seeing you and your car, on a daily basis, hundreds if you're trying really hard. Um, and then you think about the internet and the opportunities there and how many people can see your tweet, when that goes viral and then see the associated profile picture, and the NFT that you have, or the rare art that you're trying to show off. Like, that scales so much more than these real world status symbols. I think there's absolutely something there. um, Brendan, what do you think about what changes we need to be making, and how are we going to get the mainstream on?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with the, infrastructure points. I mean, it's just way too hard to get onboarded as someone who doesn't know what they're doing. So that friction just needs to disappear. But I think part of that is price as well. Like, I think there needs to be a compelling free to play experience with NFTs. I mean, if you look at social media, that's where everybody is every day, and it's because it's free. And with NFTs, I think at the very least, there needs to be cheaper options, and not just for the people who are also buying Lambos, but also, yeah, a way that they can participate if they don't want to cough up the money.
Yeah, I got to completely agree with that, and that's something that we've certainly approached when it comes to Top Shot and some of the other collectible products that we're releasing. We understand that there's so much fun at the high end, and really leaning into the scarcity aspect of NFTs and being able to say, I have one of 79 of these that'll ever exist, and kind of the value that creates. But at the same time, if your whole experience with NFTs is something like CryptoPunks, where, by definition, there'll never be more than 10,000 people at any given time that can own a CryptoPunk. And that's extremely limiting. You talk about the mainstream, you can't hit the mainstream with numbers like 10,000, and certainly not with 79. And so, how do you offer a big range where you can have the fun and the super exclusive, super scarce status symbols, but also something meaningful where somebody can come in and say, like, this is meaningful to me. I'm a part of this community. I'm the only one who owns this individual, variant, which is kind of the power of the NFTs, without that necessarily coming at a 5 or 6 figure, dollar cost. I agree. And one of the challenges, of course, is that when you look at some of the existing NFT ecosystems on a blockchain like Ethereum, even if you try to give away a free NFT, you're talking about paying $80 in gas just to send it or receive it or do something with it. And so the economics don't make any sense there. And so that's one of the things that I'm really excited about. Flow is the economics open the door for these kind of more accessible NFTs that I think, I completely agree, are going to be key to getting the mainstream on board. And I am very curious to see if that does work its way all the way into free to play. Is there anybody here working on or thinking about the sort of free aspect of NFTs?
Yeah, actually, we're building a social use case with Everbloom. People are able to take their moments from their camera, like, special memories, and put them together into a gift that they turn into an NFT, and then they can send to their friends and family, and they can kind of keep that with NFTs that they pay for as well. Almost like your wall at home, where you have photos of your friends and family, but also paintings that you may have bought. And so the idea is that we create that fun, free social experience and pair it also with the paid experience.
That's fantastic. And I think one of the superpowers of NFTs that maybe doesn't get enough attention is it's all based on these open standards. And those standards mean that you can have this digital data that you own, that you can verify that you have, but also that interacts with other digital data, whether that be galleries or profile pictures, or just like being able to show, hey, this is what's in my wallet, this is what I'm trying to highlight. And that doesn't necessarily have to be something like a CryptoPunk. It can be your own individual memory that, has sentimental value that you created for free. It's not about the monetary value of the thing, but it can interact on that same level with those same standards and be something that's really meaningful. And you can. I love to draw analogies to the real world because to me NFTs are just things that exist digitally, and there's always this weird kind of abstract disconnect with digital things in that everything was fully replicable, right? Right click save as is a thing. Having ownership of a digital thing had no meaning before NFTs. Really, that's the whole point. Is NFTs make that all possible, and so now the very cool thing is the same way that you can have your 10-year-old draw you a great picture and you can put that on your refrigerator right next to or frame it and put it on your wall next to that Rembrandt if you want, right? The Rembrandt's super valuable, but it's just another thing, just like your 10-year-old's picture that's so valuable to you. So I love that idea of bringing these free NFTs into this same ecosystem. And it's not all about the monetary value, it's about the interconnectedness that the technology provides, thanks to all those open standards. And then the more that the underlying infrastructure supports letting you interact with that without paying these giant gas fees or going through these incredible technical hurdles of having to understand what does it mean to like sign a message and what is this gobbledygook that I'm being asked to approve and what's the actual effect of that. The more we can make that just as natural as driving a nail into your wall, the better off I think we're all going to be there, and the closer we're going to be to actual mainstream adoption.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that I would like to bring out the discussion of DAOs. I think that DAOs are definitely the next progression for NFT holders, where as an owner you can verify and sign in with, for instance, Collabland, and now you can get into a private Discord channel. Right, we're already seeing with NBA Top Shot. If you don't check in with Collabland, you're always in the rookie channel, right? Unfortunately, I can't buy Top Shot where I am, so but I'm definitely looking to get some. But definitely, we're seeing like the formation of wanting to join a membership and wanting to join a DAO, being part of this real community, collector community. Like now with on-chain verification, we don't need to worry about counterfeit goods, fake stuff, fake bags and just showing off and whatnot. It's just like everything's on chain. And when everything's on chain, it's fully transparent. People know when you sign in with your actual wallet. And to some extent, it's just like it's so easy to be able to relate to someone now, rather than worrying about whether this is fake or real. You just know it's on chain. When that said, I think that as kind of DAOs start to play full action, the community starts to participate in different democratic voting systems, right? And with kind of right now, we're seeing quadratic voting being played out. Like the more tokens you own, or the more NFTs you own, the more voting power you have. And what this actually means is like, with such kind of democratic system, now any kind of company, any kind of brand can forever live on its own by just community managing the whole DAO. So what I'm trying to say is like maybe a gaming company can live on forever. Maybe there's no need for any centralized entity to control it. Maybe Blizzard should open up, create separate DAOs for World of Warcraft, Diablo, and also stuff, and let the community take over. Maybe the game is going to evolve into something incredible. It's just about the difficult thing is setting up the foundations, setting the permissions, setting the policy, and how decisions are made from a different hierarchy standpoint. I think once we see more mature DAO tools available out there, I think that we can start seeing some decentralized entity running, going to 100 years or more, even outliving Disney possibly, or any big gaming brands. Oh.
I'm super excited about that future and the sort of cultural shift that will come from having brands be owned not by these large corporations, but by the people who are in love with the brand and who interact with the brand and who make the brand what it is. I think I completely agree that DAOs are going to play a huge part of that. And what's really exciting to me about this period of pre-mainstream NFTs is everybody's getting to experiment and figure out what is the technology and the user interface and the experience like of building these decentralized brands and these decentralized organizations in general. How do you interact with those, and how do you make decisions as a group, and how do you create value for everybody who's wanting to be a part of that, whether that's monetary or just a kind of emotional value and community value, a sense of belonging. And so right now I feel like we're heavily into the experimentation phase where people are just trying things out and seeing what sticks and what works. And I think somebody is going to create one of these that's just going to really strike a nerve and hit a chord and cause another giant wave of moving towards mainstream adoption, where everyone's going to be like, I have to be a part of this because it speaks to me, and it's going to cause people to push through some of the technological hurdles that may still exist, and just get more people talking about it, and get more people involved. I definitely think that's one of the ways that we're going to reach the mainstream. Okay, and so once we hit that point, where we say, okay, and NFTs are definitely mainstream now. Like millions of people are using this. Like all the people in my life are quite aware of what I do now, and maybe a bunch of them are also, actively involved in creating the ecosystem as well. What does that actually look like? Like, how will people be using NFTs in a way that's maybe different from now, that mainstream adoption is going to enable? And basically, like, if you look at our lives today, what will change? Will NFTs actually replace certain things that we do today? How will that look different?
I think it will, look a lot like social media. I mean, at the end of the day, social media is status, right? And you talked about the things that you own at home, the Rembrandt and your kids drawing, and that's how we showcase our values in the real world. And it showcases our style, it showcases our culture, and really, as you said, when you move that online, you can do that, but with so many more people, you can do it with the whole world. And what NFTs really allow you to do is have those possessions online and thus show who you are online. So really, it's going to be about kind of self-expression, I think.
And
Yeah,
what I'm excited about. Oh, go ahead, Andrew.
just I talk too much. Go ahead, Josh.
All right, thank you. I mean, I'm excited about NFTs being the gateway or even the backbone to the metaverse. And so this idea that once we solve this mindset of digital ownership and we have the technological solution underneath it to help us understand what it means to like take possession of this digital thing, which feels immaterial, but we add tangibility to it through ways of interacting with it, through experiences, and through emotional connection. As the world like comes into that together, what we have is like a foundation to say, okay, well, we're going to move into these immersive digital worlds and have digital identities through avatars that then become fleshed out. We're going to have, goods through wearables and accessories and digital cars and jets and all that stuff and digital real estate. And so what I'm excited about is like all of that built out in the metaverse, but then also the possibilities of tokens to also then reference physical assets, physical goods, and then link us back into the real world, and then have like mixed reality. And so we have this like multi-layer experience of physical, digital, mixed metaverse, and then NFTs in some ways can be vertically integrated across each of those pieces of reality.
Yeah. Hey, Josh, you remember that there's this like Japanese Oji-san site that had like that makes virtual goods for apes holders and cool cats and Oni. You know?
Oh yeah, Wagmi-san, like 10,
Wa-
10K TF.
Yeah, 10K TF. Yeah. So I think that like companies start building tools or extensions or even augmented service and goods for specific micro communities is really going to kickstart a new wave, right? I mean, this is like the most targeted advertising ever, right? It's just like you can just target, hey, ape owners, cat owners, and Oni owners. You can come to my shop. You can mint your virtual goods. It's all on me, And then all of a sudden, like everybody swarm in, and this micro communities based on these different collections start grouping up into one major big umbrella, So I foresee like there are going to be more these 10K F happening, and with that said, I think that people's targeting these micro communities and grouping together is really going to start like a whole new wave, of NFT added on goods,
I think permissionless innovation, which is maybe the fancy way of saying that, is one of the more exciting things about this NFT space. The fact that you can come in, you can see, okay, here are all of the identities that own this status symbol, and I want to provide additional value. I want to build on top of that, and I want to link in with that kind of status symbol, and I can do so thanks to the way that the technology is built, thanks to the fact that everything is decentralized. I can reach out to all of those people. I can send them airdrops. I can verify that they actually are, a member of that community, and I can offer them specific value related to what they already know and love. And that is a really exciting development. Another thing that was brought up is this idea of identity and how these NFTs serve to sort of help define our identity. And another interesting thing to me that is pretty unique, certainly the implementation of it is pretty unique in the digital space, is this idea that you can have multiple completely distinct, anonymous, if you want, identities and personas, and you could have different ways of defining each of those. You could have your artist self, who doesn't connect with your professional self, that people don't necessarily know that you're the same person, and you can express yourself and reach out to people. And that's always been sort of the promise of the internet. But now you can really develop those personalities, those personas, those identities in new ways thanks to NFTs. And then the really crazy thing is to think about, you think about virtual celebrities like Will Michaela, and you could attach something like that to an NFT, and you could actually have a persona be something that you can transfer fully thanks to the blockchain to somebody else. You could sell it or gift it, or just have that, pass that on through the years. And obviously there have been examples of that throughout all of time. I think of certain like book series that are written by an author, but really it's a collective of authors who are all using the same pen name. But now you can imagine like that as an identity just fully taking shape, whether that's an artist that is actually represented by a collective or something. I mean, you even think back to, say, The Princess Bride and the captain there who's constantly changing identities. But it's interesting to think about how identity also plays in and people's experience of their identity and how that ties in with the NFT space.
Yeah, I just want to comment on top of that, which is the NFTs you own or the NFTs the specific actresses hold is an extension of someone's reputation. If you own a bunch of punks, people know that this guy's loaded. Everywhere he goes, he's loaded. Like all you need to do, like walk in a party and say, "Hey, I own 9 punks." Boom, he's got all the ladies instantly, right?
Okay,
an
so
interesting
switching.
part,
Oh, okay.
which is that like because of the transparency of the blockchain, like if we could all kind of look up each other's net worth, at least the JPEG. That's a little wild. So I know people have hidden wallets and stuff, but in terms of public figures, like there is a sense like, oh, even if you know 4, 5 super punks and you see someone has X many, then you know kind of what's in their wallet, and it's a fascinating conundrum for our society as we go into this world.
Yeah, and I think that also plays into that identity question. Maybe you do want to have multiple identities just so people don't know that, hey, you actually are sitting on 9 CryptoPunks, right? Maybe that's not something you want to be advertising to everybody for one reason or another. And it is great that the blockchain sort of permits that on some level, on a infrastructure and technology level. That's pretty cool. So shifting gears, part of getting NFTs mainstream is explaining to people, what are they? What is the benefit? Why do you need to care about NFTs? How are NFTs going to change or affect your life? Is it really just about number go up, or is it just about a status symbol? What is the way that we explain NFTs to the non-initiated? What actually connects with people? Andrew, do you have a method that really works for you there?
Yeah, I mean, the best example I'm using right now is think about verified Twitter accounts. NFTs are verified JPEGs, recognized by the original artist, recognized by the community supporting the artist, and recognized by the node operators running the chain. So it's authenticated, it's real, provenance is there, right? Yeah.
I love that. Yes. Brendan.
Yeah, no, I love that too. That's great. Yeah, I think in general, it's more about kind of showing them the tangible benefits instead of trying to explain them the technology or the ethos behind it. And I think also, yeah, show, don't tell in general. Like Dapper showed that, a beautifully designed pack can do more than trying to explain scarcity with a wall of text.
Tell them
that's
the
something
secret to your lady friends. Just kidding.
Yeah, the show don't tell has been sort of the mantra of NBA Top Shot for sure, and astute observers who go and have visited the site, over the years since we came out of into open beta. You're hard pressed to actually find the words blockchain and NFT there. Now, whether that's something that actually makes sense, we've got data that in one survey, 70% of all people who were into NFTs who completed this survey started with NBA Top Shot, and they didn't necessarily come in because they were NFTs. They came in because of the product and experienced some of the benefits of what digital ownership actually means, and what that actually gives you, and what scarcity, verified and trusted and easy to interact with actually gives you. And then they sort of experience those, and they're like, I want more of this. What is this? How do I get more of this? And the word about NFTs really spread through there, and it served as sort of a gateway into that broader NFT world for so many people, at least in that survey. And it all started with just not telling people what the benefits are, not even telling people like, hey, this is all like backed by the blockchain, so you should come get it. It's like, hey, this is fun, come experience it. And then once you do, you realize like, I want more of this. I want to explore these boundaries, and I want all of these benefits. I love the fact that there's this global liquidity, right? If I have something and I need some funds, if I have a real life collectible, what am I going to do? Go on eBay or like find a pawn shop and try to get pennies on the dollar, or deal with all of the hassle of physical shipping and verification and just interacting with people in meet space, versus with an NFT, I can sell it instantly to someone completely across the world, we'd have no relationship, but we can fully trust that that transaction is going to happen in a way where I know that I'm going to get my funds. They know that they're going to get this verified collectible in that case. And that's so powerful. And just letting people experience that, to me, is a super great way to get people into NFTs.
Yeah.
So do we have an idea of what's going to cause this next leap forward? I know it's something that we've talked about. We've talked about how these mainstream platforms adopting NFT verification, essentially giving the checkmark treatment, and helping reinforce the verifiability of NFTs, because like basically they're going to be tapping into the technology that exists and exposing it to people. Are there other great leaps forward that we're expecting? What's something maybe that is a little less expected or a little further down the road that you think is going to cause people to really adopt NFTs into their everyday lives?
I think bridges are going to be important. I mean, maybe that's an obvious one, but maybe not so soon. I think the fact that there's different blockchains is confusing to people. You know, I think that Flow is the closest to a real user or a real consumer who doesn't know blockchain could use. But just the fact that there's so many blockchains out there is confusing, and that you can't mix and match. And I think when there starts to be seamless solutions to start to let those things play together, it's going to be a real breakthrough moment.
Yeah, Josh, go ahead.
I'm an advocate for decoupling the cryptocurrency payment from NFT purchases, and I think that's something that Top Shot did really well this year, and even I've seen on a lot of Flow projects. I think Nifty Gateway, and even I guess OpenSea talking to Visa is what we hear this week, and so that unlocks, because we know that cryptocurrency has its own hurdles for adoption, and it's been around for years and has been kind of hobbled by some of that. And so I think what we want to see is just the reality that like people want to use fiat to be able to buy digital goods. First time I got into Seussible, the app, and I just like started buying, and it was just like so different from like, okay, pending transaction on whatever. And it's just like that purchase process is just so clean and so smooth. It's dangerous, but it's lovely, and it's just so fun. And you get the stickers, and so I think we need more experiences like that where people are able to say like, okay, I have my money, I want to buy these goods, take all the obstacles away and just make it smooth. And so I think that's going to help with the mainstream in addition to some of the experiences.
Yeah, I just want to add, like, I have three main predictions for the coming months or maybe the coming years. Is number one, every smartphone is going to have a multi-chain wallet. Number two, every real user is going to have NFT inside their wallet, right? And number three, NFT is going to play a very important role to unlocking the possibilities of Web3. All right. I think that there's a major entrepreneurial rush here with creating NFTs, creating social collections right now, but it's going to get pretty stale, pretty boring very quickly. The next step forward is building more utilities on top of and for these NFTs, right? Making new assignments, accesses, making them enter different metaverses, and also the different DAOs. We can have different hierarchies of DAOs. One major DAO controlling smaller DAOs and evolving into further branches, right? I think that the such kind of NFT verified, NFT accessible membership in form of DAOs is really gonna, in my opinion, is really gonna be like a big conversation we're going to be hearing a lot. And I hope that we channel more energy in building more utilities for NFTs. I think that it's super important, because the moment we start doing that, the NFTs also become so much more valuable, because this is not just a JPEG you can appreciate, not just a PFP you can show off. It's more than that. It's a membership. It's a ticket to vote. It's a key to access unlimited values and unlimited possibilities. So we're just waiting for that shift here. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. I think that the utility aspect of NFTs is something that is wildly under represented right now in this space. We're seeing like the examples have come up. There's little bits of it. There's access that you can get, whether to Discord communities or various other communities, or in Top Shot, we use our NFTs as access into being able to get other scarce NFTs, being able to get into pack drops. The kind of more relevant your particular collection is, right? That tells about you as an NBA fan. And if you're the kind of NBA fan who's really shown a dedication to a certain kind of fandom, and we're dropping a pack related to that, that's really kind of scarce, and lots and lots of people want it, we can actually use that social proof to help get access to the right people, the people who have proven that they really are that kind of fan, and not just someone trying to get in and flip moments to those fans. And that's really powerful. But that's even just scratching the surface. I think one of the major shifts that we're going to see, and one of the big adoption points, is probably going to come around gaming, when we start seeing AAA game studios really incorporate NFTs into the DNA of new games, and potentially existing IP and potentially new IP. I don't believe you can just shoehorn NFTs into an existing game system and have that work. And so I believe that the AAA game studios are having to build these experiences from scratch. But at some point, when you're playing an MMO in a fantasy world, and you're able to hold up your sword of 1,000 truths, and it's not just a sword of 1,000 truths, it's yours, and it has this on-chain provenance. It says where it dropped. It says, and it keeps track of its durability on it, and how many times it's been repaired, and what master blacksmith has added a enchantment to it that makes it extra special. And not just the fact that it gets +10 against zombies, but actually, it was this YouTube celebrity blacksmith who applied that enchantment onto your sword. Like, that becomes a really compelling story. And then it's an item with actual real world value, in addition to having that provenance on chain, having it all be completely verified by the blockchain. There's always been these problems with glitches and dupes and that sort of thing in online games. You think back, like Diablo 2, that was a major problem back in the day. With blockchain technology backing each individual item as an NFT, it's literally impossible. And so I think that there will be games that are going to be built from the ground up around the promise of NFTs, and specifically around the utility, where the NFT won't just be, well, here's this picture that is a one-of-one picture, but actually here are properties that are on chain, and actually, here's a metaverse and a portal, and the only way to open up the portal is to have an NFT that has a certain on-chain verified power level and a certain kind of history, and that has interacted with these 5 other quests across the metaverse, right? That's something that can be built in and built organically across many companies and decentralized organizations. And I think that it's going to create this world that is sort of the promise of something that we see in, say, a Ready Player One, but is actually built by the gaming community, and built on by all of these like AAA game companies. And I think that we're going to see a metaverse, a world, and I think it's going to start with gaming. It's not necessarily going to be limited to gaming, especially my example of like a fantasy game world. But I really think that there's going to be a killer product that comes out that's just this experience that's really transformational, and so many people are going to be compelled to join and be a part of that. And it's all going to be driven and run by and enabled by NFTs. Again, whether people know or not that NFTs are the magic that's making it all happen, I really see that as going to be something that's going to show up and be a major driving force in this community, and really bring in a whole new cohort of people who are using NFTs on a daily basis because of games. So sorry, I went on a little bit there on a rant. I've certainly been thinking about NFTs for several years, as we all have, and the promise of it. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this panel about mainstream adoption of NFTs. And any final thoughts from anybody?
Thanks for having us. Just super excited for the future.
Yeah, I am as well. Well,
Same
thank
here.
you so much, Brendan and